So we are right now at MORDAX, Modular Synthesis Systems.
All right, so this is our first module out, the data, and at its core, it's an oscilloscope with many more functions. If we look at the oscilloscope, you have 4 inputs and 4 buffered outputs. So you put something in and you get it right back out. We have an audio rate sample coming in from a different module, and then just a sawtooth wave coming in from this module. And you have control over the scale of each wave independently, the position of them, so you can fit 4 waves on here if you want, DC coupling, turn them on and off. We also have a XY scope, which will plot the X and Y position of both the waves based on the voltage coming in. On top of that, it has a spectrum analyzer, so we can see the frequency components of the sound signal coming in or sequence coming in. A spectrograph, which will show you the frequency components over time, which is useful for kind of putting the output of maybe your mixer into here and seeing all your different sounds working together, where you can add frequency components, where you maybe have too many. Also has a tuner component. If we change that to channel 2, we'll see the pitch coming in. It'll tell you the note, the pitch. Pretty useful feature for tuning oscillators. We also have a wave output, which is a dual channel. We'll look at that one over here because it's in use. It's a dual channel oscillator. Each channel has control over pitch via the kind of in a chromatic mode or in a more frequency mode, like we can see right here. And you can dial in the frequency to the decimal point, to the 10th of a hertz. Each oscillator has CV control over both frequency and amplitude with attenuation on both those inputs. The second one right now, its amplitude is being controlled via an LFO, as we can see right there. We also have wave folding modes, so we can change this one to fold and then maybe look at a sine wave. And now it's being folded as the LFO is coming in. On top of that, if we look down here, we have a quad clock output. So 4 different clocks coming out based off of a master tempo, which is internal or external if you want to bring it in on one of the channels. Each clock has a different div molt value with some like very natural division in molt, so you can get dotted like 30 seconds, 16th, triplets, or more even values. Each clock has independent CV control over its div molt value and its offset value. So right now we're using a very slow LFO from this module to clock or to affect the frequency of the clock down here. And that clock is in turn being used to control the sequencer over here. So that's about it for the data. And this is our new product. It'll be coming out sometime before the holidays, so before the end of the year, but it's still very much an early prototype. I'll bring up the sound a little bit and turn that down. So it is a granular sampler. We can stretch through some samples. You can use it as a traditional sampler, but it's really meant to play with very dense grains. We can open up the grain window a bit. Can also make it really tight and use it as almost kind of a wavetable type of deal.
Can you put in your own samples?
Yeah, you load in your own samples via an SD card, or you also have the option to input samples live. The finished product will have stereo audio input, stereo audio out, 6 CV inputs, which are configurable similar to the data, so you'll have separate attenuation and destinations for each CV input. And then we can add some CV right now to affect the start position. So now we're kind of scrubbing through the wave based on an LFO from the data. Can adjust the frequency of that, increase the density of the grains, and then we can kind of open it up. Get some really interesting timbres. ahead and decrease that. We'll open up the window a little more. We have an option to super quickly switch between samples. They're all loaded in an audio buffer, so it's seamless transitions.
Can you tell us the price about the modules?
A what?
The prices.
So the data is priced right now for $400 US. We have yet to determine the price on the GXN. We'll have to see what kind of parts we need to get. So we're looking somewhere between the $400 to $600 US range, but we're definitely going to try and keep it under 600 USD.
Right. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.